Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. We have attendees that have registered for this webinar from all across the globe. I see South Africa is in the house, Ghana's in the house, um, Europe is in the house, my UK fam is in the house. We have people from New York, Brooklyn, New York is in the house. Maryland, Nasia, Connecticut's in the house. Feel free to tell me where you're from. Be a great way to connect with you guys. So today, I just want to welcome you all to today's discussion on media and technology strategies for your church for now and also for post-COVID. We have a wonderful set of panelists here with me today, all experts in their respective areas. And the bonus part, guys, is that they are family. These are my siblings, my brothers, and my husband. They're joining us. And I think this is the first time we've actually done a panel in this fashion before. And I'm so excited to host this. There's a few housekeeping items to be aware. We did receive some of your questions from you in advance. So we are going to try to do our best in answering some of those questions during the presentation today, and also leave some time at the end for Q&A for any additional questions. Please do pay attention, definitely ask questions, and we will be sharing some conversation highlights after this webinar, courtesy of my company, Made to Fly. So here's just some brief introductions to my panelists. We have Heston Williams, which is my older brother, and he is the senior pastor of the Purpose Life Church in Brooklyn, New York, a very thriving, cutting edge ministry. He's also a consultant and a bridge for churches and pastors for visual technology solutions. Welcome, Hess. We also have Jeremy Williams. He is the CEO of Church of Laugh. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have heard about Church of Laugh. It is a Christian comedy platform, and he is also the owner and designer of Kingdom Native, a Christian clothing company. I don't have any of the Kingdom Native on today, but the clothes are fantastic. He's all things creative when it comes to graphic design, uh, photography, videography. He has a huge social media following of well over 1 million followers on all his platforms. So he really is a knowledgeable when it comes to growing a following and a base. He's my eyes, my second set of eyes whenever I need some consultation or information about something. He's who I go to for all things visual. Between Heston and Jeremy, they are my eyes. And I have Selwyn Arnold, which is my husband. He's the CEO of Seldray Productions, a Christian production company specializing in audio production, sound solutions, podcast, and audiobook production. He's a wonderful and talented musician, producer, and the list goes on from there. He's also the lead pastor of the Well Church in Piscataway, New Jersey, and a college professor. So he wears many hats as well. Now, for me, I do a whole lot of things, 9 to 5 or whatever my hours are for the day. I'm a senior project manager for a tech company for multi-million dollar clinical trials. So that's what I do. I'm also an artist, a singer, co-pastoring with my husband at the Well Church, a musician. And I want to highlight, though, my business, Made to Fly, which is sponsoring this event or this discussion today. Basically, we provide resources, consultation, leadership training to individuals, businesses, and organizations, and even college institutions. We help those who are looking to launch a product, a business, an idea, and we want to give you the tools to help you go from here to here. So our mantra is taking your projects to flight, hence the name Made to Fly. I'm also a certified speaker, trainer, and a coach with the John Maxwell team, for those that are familiar with the leadership guru, John Maxwell. All right, so let's get started today. So I decided to facilitate this workshop because I was getting loads of questions from individuals and leaders on what software to use to stream. Give me the best lighting solutions. What social media platform do I use? One, do I use all? How to get the best audio in your presentations. And as much as I can Google, for those that know me, I'm very resourceful. I can Google and find the answers. I really wanted to bring this team together to really help all of us grow in our different areas and do this excellently. Really discuss and find some tools, solutions, talk about some ideas, what each person is doing, and things that can help us for now and for post-COVID. So let's talk communication solutions. So Heston, let's talk about streaming, the various platforms. Many churches have already been streaming. Actually, some churches have been streaming services. Some churches, this is their first attempt at streaming during this whole pandemic. People are trying to figure it out. It's literally like we've been thrown in the water and we're all learning how to swim. Some people are trying to keep the connection with their own members. Members can be multi-generational. People are concerned about losing members or even struggling to maintain connection. Can you talk a bit about what you're seeing, maybe some things that you're doing, or some things that you can offer as far as advice to those that are moving forward and trying to stream and maintain connection at their churches?
Content you're putting up, and it's going to now convert it and send it out to whoever is in your, I guess, sphere of influence. So those are two typically free solutions that most churches can do. In these days and times, you want to deliver solutions to as many places as possible. So to talk about our church, we're using Facebook, we're using YouTube, and we're using Church Online. But in the back end, we're also running different programs as well. So some of those details will be more helpful if we spoke about that separately. But in some sense, you want to be very intentional about using multiple platforms because people engage with them differently.
Right.
Some quick, I would say, feedback and statistics based upon our experience. If you want your friends to see your content, and then that's Facebook. If you want to grow to people that typically have never been to your church before, Facebook and YouTube. If you really want to engage people in more intimate and direct ways and people that are connected to your church, then you should also be considering a Church Online or a live stream or a Ustream as a tool for that. So hopefully that is just the beginning of helping to answer some of the questions that you may have.
Right, so that's good. So if you're a small church, and I know Selwyn and I are planting a church, and we also have several businesses and several Facebook. How do you manage all of that? It's a lot to manage. If I'm on Facebook, I'm more engaging, and I could actually, we could shift the conversation a little bit. Even Jeremy can chime in here. How do I keep the engagement going? Because what I am seeing, and sometimes you get almost, it becomes a routine. All right, I'm just going to post a graphic to advertise my Sunday service, or post a graphic to advertise my midweek Bible study. But throughout the week, maybe nothing's happening because it's like either overwhelming or you don't know what to post. I mean, how can people really keep engagement even beyond the Sunday and do some things? Is there any things we can do?
I would say it's not only a struggle for a small church, it's also a struggle for a big church. At this point, there's no one answer. you just try it, you know.
Right.
You can do challenges, you can ask questions, but every platform is different. One of the things is like, we may use like social media apps that post to everything. And then we might get 10 likes on Instagram and 5 likes on Facebook. Basically, they are different things. You can try to cross posts, but generally it's a different audience, it's a different way of communication. So yeah, that sounds like now triple the work, but double the work, right?
Yes, because now I have to be unique for every single platform. So is it better? So question, Heston did say, you know, Friends, Facebook or so, and other Facebook and YouTube. If I'm a small church, should I just focus on one and get that good? Or should I still try to multitask and try my best to post? Because I've done this. So I'm speaking from experience and also like, I don't know what else to post, even from a small business standpoint. What should we just, you know, stay with one, get comfortable at one and then branch out, or just kind of jump in to everything?
I would suggest that you start with one, and I guess perfect it, or just be comfortable with that network. Yes, you can still post on every network, but you might not be offended if on Instagram you get only 20 likes because your focus is Facebook. So you can still continually grow it, post to it, but don't be stressed about why I only have 20 followers on Twitter and 1,000 on Facebook. It'll make you go insane. I could just speak for me, just say Church of Laugh. Like, so Church of Laugh has almost 1 million followers on Facebook, and then it has maybe like 650, I don't remember, 650,000 on Instagram. My engagement is different on Instagram and Facebook. Some videos that I put on Facebook may get shared more. Some videos that I post on Instagram may get shared even more. On Twitter, I have 12,000. So the numbers are crazy, and it's because I wasn't paying attention too much to Twitter, and it's okay. It's okay not to be the best at every network. I would say you focus on one, and then you start to build the other as time goes.
Good stuff. So someone had a question, and I think someone else chimed in with the answer, but for Heston, the Church Online, is that a specific site? Is it its own platform? You mentioned Church Online.
Okay, great question. So Church Online actually is developed by Life Church, for those who know Craig Groeschel. And so they've invested resources in allowing other churches to be able to use sort of what is called like a template of engagement. So to Jeremy's point, as far as focusing on one area, if you are going to be using your service and say streaming your service, don't look at it as just let me push my service online. Actually engage with people. So we have people who are online hosts. So take your conventional usher that welcomes people when you come to a physical building. You're going to need an online person that does that.
Yes.
If there's an altar call, you're going to need people who can take prayer requests. Of course, if there's offering, you need to be very timely and now insert giving links. So you really want to make sure that your online experience is mirroring the best of what happened when you met physically. So Church Online kind of gives, there are some tools there that it gives you to be able to engage that way.
Sounds good. So you talked about giving. So there's so many platforms for giving. I like the whole insertion of links and things. Are there any other things people can do out the box when it comes to giving? Because I know some people have a concern that, because it's online, people are not giving, they're fearful to give. But I've also heard in reverse where people are giving more online. So I guess it just depends. Maybe it's an education thing or, a conversation like, hey guys, this is still safe. There's some, just like you purchase something on Amazon or just like how you would purchase whatever online, these are some secure sites that you can go. Any one want to kind of talk about online giving or experiences?
Yeah, I mean, the list is so broad. I mean, there's
Yeah,
Tithely, there is Pushpay, which is a very popular one. There's Clover Give. There's quite a bit of them. You're going to have to do your research. And there are going to be some solutions that are great for smaller congregations and churches. There are going to be others that will be a bit better for larger. So, in other words, the more transactions or the more money you receive as people are generous, the percentage sometimes adjusts based upon that.
okay,
So you really want to do your research.
right,
Yeah, I think my rule of thumb is do research on 3 of them, and choose the one that's kind of in the middle, usually cost-wise. That's kind of
right.
how I normally work.
That's good. And I think we can get subscription happy because if you look at your bank statements, just from a house, some of us have Hulu, we have Netflix, we have Apple, I don't even know, all the subscriptions we have. But I know even from church, you can get subscription happy. And then before you know it, you're spending so much money on subscriptions. So just to echo what Heston is saying, definitely do your research. Don't just figure out. A lot of times they have trial versions. So try it out for a while. Maybe not the giving stuff. I'm not really sure about that. But some of the other apps and platforms that we'll talk about in a little while have like trials. So you can do the free trial, see what you can do for free before you decide to pay monthly, because it does start to add up. And also making sure that you have manpower to really assist in that, because you can get like 10 different platforms. And like I said, I'm speaking from experience. I'm doing the worship. I'm engaging Facebook. I'm doing this stuff here, and it can get overwhelming. And then before you know it, you're not even using those platforms anymore, or those apps anymore. So just do your research before you just start spending, because it can look small. Oh, it's just $15 a month, or it's just $10 a month. And before you know it, you're spending a few $100s a month on subscription services.
That's right.
I want to talk about connection. And this is for all of you, even for Selwyn. He's a college professor, and connecting on Zoom. I know there's a lot of things that we want to do to keep communication. So we talked about the social media engagement a little bit, but like, what about Zoom meetings and smaller meetings? How is that working, or how can that work? And all of you guys can answer on this.
I'll share a little bit, and then I'll let Selwyn kind of take over from here, because I think my area of expertise, I'm about to be done, so you're going to have the rest of this. But I'm going to just share a little bit about what we're doing with what we call them life groups for the most part. And essentially, whatever gatherings you are doing in person, you need to be very intentional about having those gatherings continuously online. In fact, you will find that you can be more efficient, you can be more timely. There's no travel involved. The meetings are usually now going to be shorter, more focused. So you can use live groups, one, to have sort of group meetings and team meetings, but you can also use it to really leverage individuals in the church to be able to lead a small group of people for a 6 or 8 week journey. All right. So here's just some examples of how we kind of use it. There's usually a day or two during the week that we have a lot of different life groups. So we have people that are doing fitness, we have those that are riding bicycles, we have those that are reading a book. So life groups is essentially, or small groups, is take something that people are already interested in, allow them to come together in a way, and most of them, of course, are happening via Zoom. And if you're going to use Zoom, especially for some things, please practice. Like, don't just the first time, all right, we're just doing it.
That's a good point.
Actually practice.
Yeah.
How do the controls work? What instructions you give, especially if you're the host, it's going to save you a tremendous amount of time, but also a little bit of embarrassment too. So
Yeah, and
we don't need to be just jumping in without any skill set. So
even if you have the skill set, you
yeah.
should still test. Like, I'm just a neurotic person, so for me, I was on this thing like from 12:30, like just making sure everything works, because we're still dealing with technology, guys. So sometimes things just go wrong,
That's right.
even with the best set of preparation and the timeliness. So especially if you're a novice, definitely spend some time to practice it. You can practice it amongst your own family members. Put one person in one room, the other person in the other room, and try it. See what it looks like. Check out the backgrounds and your camera placement, all that stuff. You can definitely try it out before prime time. But yeah, good points, Hess. Sal?
Yeah, speaking of testing, testing 1 2. You can hear me.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that the conversation shifted in this direction, because you can test and do a pretty good job at that, but as soon as you get into the conference room, things change. Unlike the physical environment, sometimes when you jump on platforms like Zoom, the more audio sources that come into the Zoom room, the more Zoom is compressing the signal, compressing those audio signals, really trimming everything down to accommodate all of the voices. And I think sometimes we have to remember that these platforms were not set up for music or high quality audio. They're really designed for bare bones conference call type of audio. So just remembering some of that comes into play. The quality is going to be greatly reduced. But as far as a connecting point, going back to that point, I think particularly in the classroom, a lot of my students appreciated being able to come on, see each other, and have sometimes some frank conversations about how everyone is doing, just connecting, seeing everyone face to face. This was an abrupt transition for a lot of students. Some of you who have kids who are either in not preschool, obviously, but junior high or high school,
Well,
and they're having to engage in their classroom without someone sitting next to them. So the connection point is important, and being able to get some mastery of how to manipulate these platforms, I think, is going to be key for continuing that engagement.
Well, there's a couple questions here about Zoom. From Sheena, she says, my church currently uses Zoom for our church services since we are a small group. But can we stream from Zoom? I mean,
Yes.
I know the answer. The answer is yes.
You can stream from Zoom. Zoom does interface with a couple of the different social media platforms like Facebook Live or YouTube Live. Zoom will let you stream to those two places. Again, there are ways to augment the quality that you would get from a regular Zoom call. But yes, you'll be able to stream to those two platforms.
And Heston, you were going to say?
Yeah. And so with Zoom, the maximum that it's going to output is 720. So you want to bear in mind that as well. But also, just so you understand, the Zoom experience may not be something you want to share with everyone because of how it may not be something you want to push out to social media. So just make sure that if you're going to push it out,
Right.
that means people are going to see what you're pushing out, and
Right.
just make sure it's off the level that you're comfortable with.
Right, because a lot of times with Zoom, not everyone is optimally dressed. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a chill environment. And, if you do stream it, and then also there's different, and you guys can correct me with the right terminology, there's different views in Zoom. So you can do a speaker view where, in this case, it's gallery, what you guys are seeing, the four of us. But in a speaker view, it's just one person. And then if I pin that person, Therefore, I'm the only one that's going to be seen, even if there's other interference and other people talking. Now, in the gallery view, whoever is speaking, if you have more than 4 people, obviously, then that person all of a sudden becomes, active speaker. That person will come on the screen. So I have seen a few Facebook Lives where they're using Zoom, and you see phone numbers popping up in the middle of the pastor preaching. You see folks talking, and it kind of gets a little bit confusing because you have not kept it as a particular pin of the person speaking. So as Heston said, just be careful if you are using Zoom to stream out, make sure that it is what you really want to stream. I'm gonna keep the conversation moving. So there was a question for Jeremy. What's the best way to keep your followers engaged? I know we kind of talked a little bit about it, but do you have any ideas for churches to do that?
I think it depends on the platform. One thing is that people like to see people. So sometimes we may share flyers and it has text and all these cool graphics, but if they don't see a person on the flyer, or if they don't see like their pastor talking on a live, they don't connect as much. People like to see people. Sometimes we're trying to overproduce our Instagram Live and Facebook Live. I understand that the Sunday experience is usually something that you want to look, more pristine. But, as a pastor, as a leader, you can just get on Facebook Live or Instagram Live and just talk to the people about anything. And everything doesn't have to be spiritual. You can be like, what you guys cooking today? Today I cooked rice and peas for the first time, or whatever it is.
Right.
So you can talk about different stuff. Everything doesn't have to be super spiritual. You're building a community, and while you're building a community, people talk about TV, food. You have to do other things to live your life. So you should include that in your the way you bring across your social media messages.
That's good. That's good. It's true, because sometimes the things you expect to get the most shares or the most likes usually is not. Even for Selwyn and I with our music ministry, we share like a foolish thing, and that gets the most engagement because it's kind of like a break from the norm, something fun, something off the cuff, and just human. I think at the end of the day, people just want to see your humanness, your humanity, and just want to connect in that way. So that's good. There was a question before I know we were talking about Zoom before, but Philip from New Jersey, with Zoom, do you need the webinar version, right? For what I'm doing today, this is the webinar version because it allows you to have the Q&A, the chat, the polling and stuff like that. For just church services or to meet, you don't need the webinar version for that. So you can do some research on the pricing. There is a free part in Zoom, but there's also a paid subscription where you can do more things. So definitely check out Zoom, but you don't have to get the webinar version in order to do like small groups and things of that nature. And now they've even added breakout rooms, so you can actually do something cool with say it was like the battle of the sexes. So I'm going to put all the girls in one room, all the guys in one room, or all the kids in another room. You can do something like that, even for your Bible study or Sunday school, which is a pretty cool feature as well.
It is. And let me just, if you don't know, there's a site called TechSoup.org. That's TECH soup.org. For anyone that's a registered charity, they normally give about 50% off Zoom, the Zoom pricing. So it's a one-shot deal, but you can get that if you TechSoup.org, just so you know.
Okay, great. So I know we touched a little bit about sound when we were talking about Zoom, so I want to keep it moving. So we talked Zoom. Some people had questions about audio issues, and you addressed it a little bit, but what are some basic things We have a question here: basic equipment for recording, for sound, for streaming, and some of that overlaps with each of you. So feel free to chime in. But I'll start with Sel.
Great. So this is a sticking point for a lot of churches that are broadcasting online, or even artists who are trying to have any type of battle online between two platforms. So one of the things that you'll find, as you can see right here on the panel, two of us are using microphones and two of us are not. Okay. And with Heston, he's using a lapel mic, and with me, I'm using one of these dynamic mics here. And one of the things that you want to be able to do is to take control of your audio environment, take control of what people hear. And one of the ways to do that is to utilize some basic sound equipment. So here in the studio, I have all kinds of pieces of equipment, but this is one that I use on Sundays. This is a small mixer by Yamaha. Okay, it's got a few channels here for microphones.
Show and tell.
You can adjust all of the highs, the lows, all of those things. And one of the cool things about this, it has a USB port so that you can send that audio out to your computer. Okay. Is everyone able to hear fine?
Yes, I can hear you, but
A little bit of crackling? Okay.
well, you need a dedicated audio tech
Yes.
to try
So,
things out.
taking control of the audio is going to be key for your online broadcast. So using a mixer like that or an audio interface will help to clean up your volume, clean up your broadcast a little bit more. And some people are telling me I need to turn it up. How's that? All right. So on platforms like Zoom or Instagram or Facebook, a lot of those, as Heston said, they are operating as encoders. So what encoders are doing, they are compressing signal, bringing everything down to a point where they can now redistribute that signal more clearly. And what happens in those instances is that sometimes your signal can get degraded. It's not like listening or streaming music from Apple Music or Spotify, where those are high fidelity services where we're listening to music at a higher rate. Anytime during a Sunday morning service, something can happen and your audio could be compromised. So a lot of these services are trimming down audio from high fidelity, let's say 128K. They're trimming it, cutting that in half, because they now have to take your signal and redistribute that to all of your listeners, everyone who is on your stream. So one of the challenges that we all face is that we're all dealing with a computer microphone or a smartphone microphone. And you're already at a disadvantage with a smartphone microphone because you're getting a lot of room ambiance. You're getting a lot of background noise. The fidelity of the microphone is not necessarily the greatest, so you're dealing with those challenges. So whenever that happens, taking control of the quality of your stream is going to be paramount for you. So utilizing a mixer or utilizing an audio interface can help to improve the quality of your audio on your stream.
Someone asked, how can you increase the volume of a video after it's recorded?
So is it something that you like pre-recorded and you're streaming it now? I kind of need a little bit more details about it.
Yeah, I don't have, this is from Anthony Wright. He he asked the question. Anthony, do you have more info? Is it that you just recorded it and you want to now put it up somewhere and you want to increase the volume? I guess we can wait for him to, yes.
Okay, so you can, depending on the video program, or if you have like an audio program, you can bring up the gain. But every time you bring up gain, you will get less quality. Like the audio will degrade every time. So sometimes you bring it up and you hear a lot of white noise, like shh. You'll always hear that. So it's always good to record at a good volume where the audio level is high enough for people to hear it. And if you need to turn it down or a little bit up, you won't get too much noise. But it's not like a 1, 2, 3 thing.
Okay.
I'm sure someone has had to do that many times, and it's a lot of work to take out white noise and
yes, I've heard him. Someone had a question, and I guess this kind of it brings everything together. What if you have a multimedia team? Would it be a good idea to delegate the different social media outlets? This is really for you, Jeremy. One of the questions when you were talking about, Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Just as a team, you just need to talk to each other. So on Facebook, you may write something. On Instagram, that same message, you may put a picture behind it. You can still use the same content. Mm-hmm. It's just the way you present it has to be different. So you and your social media team, multimedia team should just be talking. Hey, what are we posting this week? How did we do last week? What posted well? So it's like an ongoing conversation. And there are some times where you're like, yo, this post is going to do so well. And it doesn't because you posted it at the wrong time.
Yeah, I was going to then piggyback. Thanks for talking about that. So for those that are posting on Facebook and Instagram, there are different algorithms. Now, Jeremy, I know there is a science to it. How can people navigate some of that stuff? Because you can post something at 3 p.m., no engagement, but 10 p.m. engagement. Is there a specific day people should post? And I know what I'm asking, we can talk about this for an hour, but in short, is there some cool things or tests maybe you should just do at different times? I mean, tell the people what you're doing or what
if you have like a church account, you can make it a business account. So what that will help you do is when you post, it will give you insights on when your followers are on, the best times that they engage, but you would have to do some tests throughout, weeks just to see how people engage. One of the easiest ways is to think about yourself. Mm-hmm. When do you wake up? When do you eat? When do you turn on your phone? When do you go to sleep? And what do you want to see at those times? So at 11 p.m., you might not want to see a devotion. You might not want that devotion at 11 p.m., but you might want it at 8 a.m. It's like a better time where, okay, people are still in bed, you want to read something. And throughout the day, as the day goes, you might want more things that are more exciting. So just think about yourself and then push that through social media.
And what about like boosting ads? Is that something churches should be doing?
So you can do it, but it's not like a 1, 2, 3 thing. If you're trying to get more likes on a post, yes, you can boost the post. But if there's something specific that you're trying to advertise, it could be merch, it could be getting people to come to your church. You can get an ad account through Facebook. Mm-hmm. Facebook basically handles the ads for Instagram and Facebook, and even some of the apps. Like you might be playing a game and you might see an ad. Facebook controls a lot of that too. But basically, you can target your neighborhood. You can target just Brooklyn. You can target Brooklyn women that like Kevin Hart in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
in this region. So it gets very deep, and it's not something that the average person could just kind of get into it. It will kind of make you go crazy, but you can do it.
So you talked about control, and I'm trying to be like a little host here. So with the word control, Selwyn, what about how is Facebook controlling of music? You know, when we want to use other people's music, can you speak about? I don't own the copyright of the song. I don't own the copyright to this music. Can we talk
Yeah.
about that and how, for us churches and just individuals, some of that, in short, like what people can do or what they need to be aware of?
Yeah, so for churches, what usually happens with churches, many of you who are uh, ministering praise and worship songs on a Sunday morning, you should have purchased a CCLI license. And
Hmm.
what that allows you to do is to sing those songs publicly, because what a lot of people don't realize is that um, performing other people's music, even though it's a worship song unto God, it's still somebody else's intellectual property. So when you perform someone else's song, typically you would have to get a license to do that, so that you don't run into any copyright infringement. CCLI, you can visit ccli.com. That actually gives you a blanket license to sing any of the songs that are covered under that CCLI registration.
Hmm.
So, quick word for those of you who may be upcoming songwriters, musicians. If you would like for other people to be able to sing your songs and get them into rotation and be found or discovered, register your material with ccli.com. The CCLI license will cover also your church live stream, and that's where it really counts for this conversation. However, if you are a regular user and you plan to, let's say, just play someone else's song over Facebook, and try to stream it through there or Instagram Live, you will encounter what's called a copyright strike. And what Facebook algorithms and Instagram algorithms and even YouTube algorithms are doing, they are digitally scanning all of the sound that is coming across their network. And if there's something there that sounds or that gets flagged as a song that is owned by a record label or owned by a publishing company, they will cut the stream or cut the audio, unless because you don't have permission to do that.
Hmm.
Now, how do you get permission to get that stuff over on your stream without a copyright strike? It is very, very hard to do it. There is a process called whitelisting, that is very, very complicated, and it's almost next to impossible to do, because you're basically having to contact the person who owns the copyright to that song, who's either a label executive, if you can get them on the phone, get them to talk to someone at Facebook to put a flag on your page to not issue a copyright strike.
And,
And if you've ever dealt with bureaucracies, you'll be on hold forever trying to get that done. So um, putting the disclaimer up on your post, I don't own the copyright to this song, does not work. Okay, they can still cut the audio to your stream, or even maybe levy some penalties against your account. You know, maybe
and
cut your service off. Yeah.
just to add, I know like people do it and nothing has happened to you, and it sometimes it has to do with how long you play a song.
Yeah.
They come after you, or you know, there's a lot of DJs and battles and
Yep.
happening right now, and they know how to mix stuff very well. So by the time the algorithm kind of takes off, and I'm saying this incorrectly, takes off,
Yeah.
they switch the song. So some people
Right.
have become a pro in doing that, and for others, where we could be small fries, so to speak, in the big Facebook land, so we maybe never get dinged for that. But just know that that statement does not work. It isn't
Right.
right. But hey,
Even
whatever you do with this information is still up to you. We're
yes.
just giving you the facts. So if sometimes you may have posted a song and then later on you try to go back and it says content not available is because Facebook has taken it down.
Right.
The reason why we just wanted to quickly touch on this topic about.
And I could tell you it affects business owners too, because my production company, we've launched a radio station, and I have the licenses for all of the performing rights organizations to play this music online. But if I stream on Facebook, I still get hit with a copyright strike. So even if you are legally covered to play this music, Facebook has a very, and Instagram, they have a very hard policy to just not allow it on the platform, because they cannot account for who has a license, who doesn't have a license. So it's just
it's hard.
Yeah.
So you know, time is moving so swiftly, and there's tons of questions, and we definitely can't get to all of your questions. So I'm going to position it this way, because I think holistically we need to think about post-COVID, you know, and, you know, should we still be doing all of this stuff post-COVID? Or there's a question from Chris. He says, people are saying they can't wait to get back to normal. So what advice do you have for churches on how to prepare for now? Yes, we're kind of talking about now, but also after the fact. And I'll leave that open to whoever wants to respond.
Well, I'll say that there is no going backwards to normal. So I know we use that term. I think we have to see that there's a God thing happening. And what has happened is that the church, for many of us, we've been catapulted 2 years into the future of where we should have already been. So I think just look at it about using the best of both worlds. So those who started online, continue online. So make sure, I believe that many of us, we're going to have shorter services when we gather back together. That's just my belief, but, and that could actually be a good thing.
Sure. I'm not saved. Come on, folks. I'm supposed to be in church all day.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think COVID threw us in the fire, and
in the water, in the fire.
Yeah, like it just threw us in, and it's just like you had to be comfy there, like almost like the three Hebrew boys, like, Jesus, we need you. We're still in the fire, but like we're gonna stay in the fire, but we need you here. So you have to still continue that fire even when you go back to church. Like it's not you don't get a break from social media when church comes back.
Right.
Or like your stream can't look the same or like look worse than it is now. You got to keep that level up. And we've had an opportunity to, I guess, engage with unbelievers even more than usual. And they may not come back to church, or when church opens, they might not come to your church, but you should still treat them as an online community and just be able to, you know, give them the resources you were giving them for however long this is.
Yeah. Sel, anything to add on this?
Yes, just do your best to make it as engaging as possible. Owning the quality and working on that and improving that, of course, is going to be key for you, but also being relatable and using the platforms to the best way to connect. For our church, it's been wonderful just being able to stay connected. I'll share something a little bit unrelated, but it was helpful for us. Easter Sunday was a first for us. This was our first Easter Sunday as pastors. This was our first Easter Sunday actually streaming, and we took it to the next level. We decided after service, hey, let's utilize this platform to have dinner together, using the platform to fellowship. And so it was really good to be able to be at each other's dinner table and really connect in that way. And all of these tools are useful. Learning how to manipulate them is going to be key. to ensure quality, but don't miss the opportunity for those fellowship moments, those connection moments, because after all of the tech stuff is covered, people still want to be able to connect in a sincere and legitimate way.
Cool, thank you. So we didn't really talk about lighting, but there are comments about the variances in our, well, I'm kind of adding this dynamic to it, variances in our lighting right now. Others say, so Heston's looks crisp. His lighting solution looks crisp. I guess, what are some basic things? Because I know I see a question from Maggie, a question of Wayne. What can people do as far from a lighting standpoint? Is it the devices? Is it mainly the lighting? Is it the background? Is it all? Quickly, just share on that.
So it definitely depends on the device you use or the camera. Some cameras pick up lighting better. Some cameras work better in low lighting. But one of the things is that you would have lighting in the front. Like some people use like a ring light, especially in these Zoom kind of meetings.
That. Wayne, stop hating on my light. Some props, Wayne.
So some people use ring lights are pretty cheap, pretty affordable, I should say. So you can get that and put that in front of you. Mm-hmm. It's what women like to use for their makeup.
Glam.
It helps them see. And if you're a pastor, if you're a male, it's okay to use a ring light for you to Zoom, and you could let your wife use it after. It's fine. That's just one thing for like an at-home experience.
Heston, anything else to add to that, or?
Yeah, I mean, so the lighting is spot on, and so typically try to avoid a lot of light behind you. So if there's a window behind you, you probably will either need to use a ring light or in front, or you would need to put a curtain or blinds behind you because it's like competing. The camera does matter. So older computers, the camera won't be as sharp. If you have an iPhone, it won't be as sharp as a Galaxy. I'm just
he's
saying.
going there.
I'm just saying. But just for my setup, I pretty much have I have some lights flanking my left and right, but I'm also using an external, call it a DSLR for the lack of a better term, that's connected to an interface that's then connected to the computer.
So that's why his
microphone
his
that's connected to a mixer.
That.
So this setup is a little bit more complicated than what most people will be using on a day-to-day.
Right. Okay. So we have a few more minutes. Damar. Hi, Damar. For churches that are new to streaming their entire service, what are some guidelines or service structure modifications to consider? I know we kind of talked about shortening the service a bit, and I actually had a question that kind of goes in line with that. So, what can people do to even plan, prep, or prepare, prior to service and also, going forward after COVID?
So shorter services, absolutely. But plan out the service in such a way where you're talking to people where they are. So essentially, you're now modifying your language. Instead of saying, come on, everybody, praise the Lord. You're saying, okay, take a moment, put it in the chat. So you're going to have to modify the way how you communicate, just understanding where they're actually tuning in from. So I think shorter services, I don't think altar calls, let's be real, I don't believe altar calls will be the same, at least for some period of time. We're going to have to modify the way how we do things, being mindful of the times and understanding that the power of God is still available even in shorter services. He can still do miracles. Come on.
Yeah.
Type that in the chat, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
That's good. Let me see. Should media staff get paid? So we talked about how, and I know I saved this wonderful gem for the end. We talked about how much work this is. If you guys were to see our setup on a Sunday, Selwyn and I, we're small, we're just starting out, and I have like two iPads here. Thankfully, we have technology. We have this here, that there. It's a lot of work, and I'm already tired. And then I'm leading worship, and then I'm trying to remember to put up a graphic or something, and then someone's trying to preach, and it can
Putting
get
up
a lot.
slides and all of that. Yep.
It's a lot just for, obviously, you don't want to stay with two people. It's because we're in quarantine, this is the case. But for those that are doing this for your churches, should there be a budget set aside for these media guys?
I'll take that one. So there's
I agree.
there's a lot of there's a lot of debate as to whether engineers or musicians, for that matter, should be paid, and I feel that there should be some type of appreciation, if that's financial or if that's some other form of reward system or appreciation. Many of the churches that are thriving and doing very well in media right now do it sorely based off of volunteer service. No one is getting a check, but everyone gets a great sense of reward for contributing their best to the service and making it the best quality possible. So I think finding ways to highlight, appreciate, or if you are on a paid staff situation, making sure your engineers are taken care of, because what often happens is that they have to prepare hours ahead of service, be able to cover the service, and then do any post-production afterwards. It's hours and hours and hours of prep and also work afterwards. So I would urge pastors, especially during this time, this is highlighted more than ever, how much we need our engineers, because you can't do it all. You can't be a one-man production team forever. And I think expanding the team and really bringing them into the system of appreciation or remuneration would really lift their spirits. You will find that they may be more willing to volunteer information, tools, tips, solutions to you as a ministry leader to really get things going and scale it up to another level. So yes, take care of them, please. They're a vital member of the team, especially right now.
I would say, I think sometimes we classify people like, oh, the worship leader is worth this much and the pastor's worth this much and the sound and whatever and stuff like that. I think this has been a great time to expose, I guess, how much weight everybody holds. And one of the things too is like, I've seen like, churches, they might not pay everyone, or everyone's not on staff, but they may pay leadership, and leadership would have the time and the resources to kind of invest in the volunteers and other people that are on the team. So yeah, you might not be able to hire 10, but maybe you hire 1 or 2 or whatever, and then they lead the team of volunteers, and then they get new people. It's just helpful to either get compensated or appreciated so that you can continue the work.
Well, has anything to add?
Yeah, and I agree with both of my brothers and what they shared, and so maybe just an encouragement to, especially to pastors and leaders, we do have to, as much as we're trying to turn on a dime and respond to things quickly, I think we need to start thinking about how we budget differently than we've ever done before. So, for example, in the last month, there are more people, at least in our church, or that we've had the opportunity to minister to, that have accepted Jesus in the last month than have been in the last 6 months. Which means that the evangelist, quote unquote, say we had an evangelist on staff, he or she wasn't preaching, but the media team and the musicians and the worship, they were actually the ones that were helping to create this result. So if the result is souls, if the result is kingdom, then you would start to be able to say, well, they're not just part of I'm not just paying a musician. I'm not just paying a media team person. This is part of what we consider is outreach and evangelism. So I think sometimes when we see it from that lens, we realize that the level of importance, and gradually you'll get there. You can't do it overnight.
Right.
But certainly when you start thinking of that way, you can get there.
That's good. That's good. I mean, I know we're at a little bit over 2, but I'll take a couple more questions. This kind of goes back to the multi-generational. We have older members and younger members, and how do you encourage or get your older members up to speed? And I'll put this to the 2 pastors on here. To get them access to the new platforms or up to speed? Are you doing any training? Are you? I had an idea that for actually a church reached out to me as to how to do this, and I said, well, maybe it's time to pair up some of these younger Gen Zs or whatever with some of the do a quick a conference call, almost like, let's get you set up. If they have children, if they have grandchildren, I know still quarantining, but if there are ways to do that. So we're also not putting it on us to do as leaders, pastors, but kind of pushing our team members forward and say, hey, sister so-and-so needs help, see if you can download this on her phone or get her to subscribe or whatever the case may be. Have you guys done anything to get your older members up to speed?
I think for us, some of our older members, because we're a smaller ministry, some of our older members are quite close to us in terms of family. So we're able to utilize the family connection to help them to get acclimated. And also, I think sharing very short and simple tutorials. Remember that a lot of other users, social media users, have done the work. They've actually prepared these videos. Here's how to do this. Here's how to do that. And I think utilizing our social media platforms, or even our way of communicating, text messaging, you can share links to here's how you do this. Sometimes it may be hard to get them on a conference call to teach them how to do it. It may be easier to share the link, let them watch it, repeat it, try it, do some trial and error, and then give them an opportunity to do a test run with you. Maybe create that time to do a test run with you so that they can make sure they're ready for Sunday morning, ready for their Sunday morning stream.
That's good. Has anything to add to that, or?
Well, every seasoned saint is different. So I'm going to use my own parents, our own parents, as an example.
My mom be on Zoom, guys. She's on live.
My mom just got on
70s,
a couple weeks ago.
She is killing it. There's some in there.
My mom and my dad, very different. Yeah. And so you may not always be able to use the same solution for everyone, even though they may be in the same age category. So I'll share a few things that we did, and doesn't mean that everyone is on, but everyone in our church, I think maybe we had 12 to 1,500 calls made once we had the social distancing in place, and we were about 2 weeks in. Everybody in our church was called by someone else in our church. Part of the conversation was, is there anything that I can help you get set up with? Are you okay? Things of that nature. So there were some needs that were expressed then that we were able to facilitate. If we want to get some of our seniors online, we're probably going to have to work with a family member in their house.
Yeah.
And kind of do a phone call. I say, hey, is your grandson? Okay, let me talk with him. And that is one way how we get people. But also we need to be very personal. So we're in a position where we deliver groceries pretty much on a weekly basis to most of our seniors. That's a great place of engagement. In fact, that's how some of them actually give. They're like, oh, here's, because they're not going to give online. If I'm 80-something years old, then the likelihood that I'm going to give online, it's not happening. So it's about meeting them where they are.
Mhm.
And I'll share this last thing. So, one of our mothers in our church, realizing that the church that we can't gather, she says, "Well, I guess I'm going to have to just live on my church fat." That's what she said. So it was the funniest thing. She was living on her past experience, but she still misses the gathering, and we try to do what we can to get to them.
That's good. So just a couple more questions because they're rolling. And I don't know if we need to do a part two, but someone asked, well, I think this is for Selwyn because you mentioned some larger churches may not be paying their people. We don't know, like this person shouted out, Transformation and Elevation aren't paying their media team. They said, you don't believe that church is like. Some people are getting paid and some people are not. There are churches in Brooklyn. I think there's a C3 church, Jeremy. A lot of audio enthusiasts or engineers go to that church, and they're not all getting a check.
Right.
So I don't think the statement meant that no one's getting paid, but
Right.
sometimes we see like larger churches, and we just assume that everybody's getting paid, and that's not always the case. They've really learned the power of recruitment, of being enthused, of sharing their talents and their gifts, and also the church is also investing in them and what they want to do, audio wise or graphically wise or visually wise. Because of that investment, there's a reciprocation happening. And I think we need to do a better job, I think, as churches, especially in the Northeast and whoever else that's on this webinar today, just to how we recruit people into our team. I don't have any wonderful and creative ways, but we need to think out the box, and allowing people to create and have a place for them. It's no longer just about the praise dancers doing a presentation. It's no longer just about the mime team now. Now people want to create some really good short films and short videos and wonderful presentations media. There's a lot in our kids and in our young adults, and they're just looking for an outlet. So we need to find those people and let them create. Give them a little guide and say, hey, this is what I want you to do, something about Easter or something coming up, and see what they come up with. You'd be amazed at what people can create. So I kind of answered that, so you don't really need to.
Well, I wanted to chime in because I think it's important to note that a lot of churches are doing a hybrid situation where they will have one paid admin person on staff who is managing a volunteer team.
That's what Jeremy
So
mentioned.
just because you see everybody on the floor behind a camera or behind a mixer desk doesn't mean that everybody is on payroll.
Right.
There may be one admin who is coordinating that team. So every ministry does something a little bit different. So it's not always good to assume what a particular ministry's setup is, but rather observe the excellence at which they do it and their willingness to do it. And something you touched on, Michelle, investing in those volunteers. Some of them have aspirations to go to film school. Some of them want to be able to take this to another level. And this could be a type of internship for them. Give them the opportunity to serve, give them the opportunity to cut their teeth on something like this so that they can get to the next level in their career. And they will come back and reciprocate if you take that time to invest in them.
Thank you. So I have two more questions and we're gonna close. I'm coming down. So the first, well, there's kind of like two questions in one. Someone is talking about training. Any of you guys offer any training or any workshops, consultation? Do any of you, I know the answer, but do any of you offer anything beyond this? Because obviously this is a very short thing and this is just a discussion. Or if you guys don't offer anything, where can people go to get more information about different strategies?
Well, at Celljoy, we've been developing workshops and traveling, doing workshops on aspects of worship, musicianship, and now I believe more than ever, it's a time to implement more things as pertaining to sound and including more aspects of that. So you can visit our website at celljoy.com. That's SELJOY.com. We have the across the board training program where we can connect with you. Please leave us a comment as to what area you're interested in, and we can put together something for you in order to help you in your specific area, not just sound, but also for your worship team as well.
Great. We didn't even get to talk about production and multi-tracks and all that stuff. That's another layer of how you can definitely ramp up your presentation, because as much as we have beautiful lighting, beautiful visuals, if your sound and the music part are really bad, then it's like, I don't want to, I'm gonna watch y'all on mute because I don't want to hear what's coming out. But that's separate. But thank you, Cell. Hess, Jay, anything?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I guess I would be best positioned to sort of be a ministry and CRM strategic strategist. So a fancy way of saying that I can help you with the inner workings of even sometimes communicating with the different generations in the church. I'm helping to take your vision and provide some practical next steps on how you get there. So I think at the end of this discussion and webinar, Michelle will send out all the contact information to everyone. So that way, if there is a need to talk to any one of us individually, you can do that.
Great, thank you. Jay?
I do consultation and implementation for design and marketing. So for instance, say your church needs graphics for screen, social media. I have programs that I can do a retainer and provide graphics and marketing for your ministry. And when we get back, photo, video, and all that kind of stuff like that. But yeah.
Great. So in short, and I'm sure all your responses are going to be different, so this will kind of be fun. What are 3 must-haves for churches that if you were in position that you absolutely need or feel that you need to make sure that your presentation goes from here to here? Just 3 must-haves. And I'm sure whatever you're going to say, we can put it all together, and there you have the church. So whoever wants to go first.
I'll take the easy ones. A microphone versus your mobile device or just your computer. A microphone, a digital mixer, small one like the one I shared before.
Again,
or a small,
that joined late.
Yeah, for those that joined, a small digital mixer like this, something that is USB compatible, where you can send that audio to whatever computer you are streaming from, or even if you're streaming from a tablet, that'll work. The microphone is better because it'll allow you to really refine the sound. You can clean up your audio and make sure that whatever you're sending over the web is balanced and well controlled. So those would be my 2. My third one, which is going to overlap with Heston's, I'm sure, is going to be some basic lighting. I'm using some basic camera lighting in here to just illuminate where I'm sitting and where I'm streaming from.
Cool. Hess?
I mean, great audio. I think we're going to all maybe echo this. Audio is probably the most important thing to have, even more important than video, actually. So great audio, but also have clean, a clean area, whether you are filming in the church or filming at home. You want to make sure that your background and everything else, that there's good contrast between the foreground and the background, that it's not too busy. So you want to make sure that visually that things look well. And also, I think you want to have a sincere message. And so it's a little bit different than the technology solution. the goal isn't to make you Stephen Furtick or make you TD Jakes. The goal is to ensure that you're the best version of yourself.
Great. Jay?
I think the most important thing is actual vision for what you want the service or the stream to be. And I think that sets the ground for what you would need. So if your ministry is just going to focus on Zoom calls and with no face, or you might just do audio. But audio and video go hand in hand, but I do believe audio is also most important. And the other thing, social media, again, it doesn't have to be the most interesting graphics or pictures or whatever, but you need it to so people know that you're having service.
Right.
So without social media, there's no church either right now. So
right.
Because you need to connect. You would have to send out mail to people's houses to say, visit me here. So now social media kind of breaks that down for you.
Right.
And it's free.
Yeah, it is free. Yeah, it is free. Someone mentioned iRig, so I think that was for you.
The iRig Pro Duo. I recommend that one. It's a great portable device. It can run off of batteries or it can run off of an external power supply. It allows you to not only jack in, but also monitor what you are sending out. And it gives you some very simple indicators, green, yellow, or red. Am I peaking? Or my levels okay? It's a great portable device. It's only $200 and it's a very competitive price. I recommend it.
Great. So this is the final question, and this is actually a good one. It goes in line with something we touched on not too long ago from Lorraine from Connecticut. Connecticut's in the house. What do you believe the landscape will look like post-pandemic that we should prepare for now? So I know that's a loaded question. We can say a lot, but in short, as we wrap up the Zoom, we know that we can't go back. We can't go back to normal. We have to go forward. What do you guys feel it's going to look like, and how should we prepare? You guys are all nodding.
I personally feel that we need to be prepared and mobilized to do church anywhere.
Yes.
Now more than ever, where our houses of worship have been so restricted, we need to be ready to broadcast anytime, anywhere. We could be in the park. We could be on the street corner. I feel as if and Heston and I, we did a podcast conversation for my podcast a couple, I think it was a month ago.
Nice plug.
Yeah, nice plug for Conversations with Selwyn. But it was a really great, he brought up a great point in that what we're doing now is forcing us to go back and re-dig or to get back to a place where we were willing to focus on the foundations of our faith and being able to share that. Because at the end of the day, if we're not sharing our faith and just having church, just doing another broadcast, what is it all for? So I think more than ever, more than ever, we need to be able to equip ourselves to be able to share at any given point in time. I know personally for me, I was never a big fan of doing live broadcasts until I had all my ducks in a row. Everything has to be perfect. And this has pushed us out there, especially visually, it's pushed us out there to engage and to share and to be relatable and to be able to connect with people. So I think that's going to be key for us now.
Great. Jay.
Jesus is coming.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, be ready.
Yeah, I think I said it before, but it's just the level that we thought we were at, we were not. And every day we have to get better. And I'm a big, as much as I have different stuff, I do really strongly believe that you focus on one thing and you build it, and then you go to the next. So I think ministries in general you have to have women's, kids, men's, bike ministry, beef patty ministry, all these different ministries. And I think it's, in this time, it's exposed how much, like, what can you do now? So if it was established and with a strong foundation, you would be able to pivot it online. So right now, instead of trying to figure out these 20 or 30 different departments and how to pivot those, you know, if you focus and you build those, it will be so much easier to pivot with just the focus of it. And I don't follow my own focus thing, but hopefully it helps you.
You got like 50,000 businesses.
I wish I could stop. Please
don't. Please don't. Pastor Heston to close out.
Yeah, I mean, to echo really what Jay and Sel, and it's fun. Jeremy said beef patty ministry. Okay, that I had to laugh at that one.
It's a thing.
You know, the landscape is what it's always been. We just never saw it that way. So it's not like the landscape is changing. I think what God has given us an opportunity to do is to make adjustments so that we can better minister to the landscape. There've always been lost people. Yeah. And so, you know, as Matthew 24 talks about that, you know, that this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a testimony. We're seeing that more today than ever. And so I want us to ride that mandate and just do things well. But you are going to have to coexist in two different atmospheres. And I can go more if I was going to go super spiritual, but you're going to have to do things well in a physical engagement and interaction and discipleship journey. But you're going to also have to do that well in one that's virtual. So I think learning and starting to plan, how do we coexist and do things in a way that truly honors the vision for the house and the mandate from the Father.
Amen. Thank you. I think overall, we have to prepare ourselves for the harvest. People are getting saved like never before. There's countless testimonies of people wanting to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. So be prepared on all platforms, from your church when you open up to how you engage them online. I think start now. It should be happening now, but if you haven't started, today is your day to start now and to really come together with your team at your churches and say, hey, we need to be prepared like never before. The harvest is here, guys. Literally, the harvest is here. Literally, our houses have become houses of worship. I know families have been, you know, with the WhatsApp groups for my Caribbean folks. Y'all know how the WhatsApp groups are going. But there's a lot of people asking for prayer. There's a lot of people asking to know about Jesus and how and how to have a relationship with God, because a lot of people are shook, they're fearful, and so we need to be prepared spiritually. We need to be prepared visually and how we communicate that message. Also be prepared on all fronts. Let our presentations rise to the other level. This is not the time to be fearful to ask anyone, like, how did you do that? It's time for pride to be shut down, because for so many of us, we're secret watchers of what other people are doing, and that's okay. But now it's time to ask, because we don't have time to research. Hence why I put this all together. I don't have time to Google everything and to try to figure it out. So you connect with another source. Yes, I'm going to be sharing the information of, you know, our presenters. Don't bombard them with too much stuff. We can definitely filter them through me for some conversations, but definitely don't be afraid to ask the question. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to look at how other people are doing things, because we all need to grow at this time. Like more than ever, there's so many webinars, there's so much free information. being put out there. So it's time for us to utilize this stuff like never before, and to make it work for our churches. So thank you so much for joining, everyone. People stay with us another 30 minutes. Oh my God, I'm usually timely, guys. Sorry about that. Church shouldn't be this long, but the webinar was free. So
You got two pastors on here trying to close.
pastors. Oh, we got three pastors. We got the pastor of Church of Life on here.
Yep.
So we got, so you know, I'm coming down. You know how that goes. You can keep going. So thank you so much for joining us today. I will be sending highlights of this out there. I'll be sending some information as well, taken from this webinar, as well as a broadcast. If you did register, you'll get that link as well, so you can look at it, and definitely reach out. My business is madetofly.org. Feel free to reach out to me, and if you're looking for more of this and other workshops when it comes to leadership, building your teams, from administration, ways to connect that way, and building up different things like that, feel free to reach out to me as well. Information will be going out. Well, have a great day. Thank you, Heston. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Sel. We got to do this again. At some point, people are saying, do it again, do it again. We'll see what happens. I make no promises. We all lead very busy lives. But we'll try our best to do something else. How can we sow a seed? Oh, praise. I will send
Madetofly.org.
I will send you my cash app. I will send it to you for real. Made to Fly. That's it. MADETOFLY. That's my cash app. You can sow a seed there. And if it's big enough, I will share it with my brothers. But if it's small, yeah, I got this.
Tithe.
Yes, yeah. Three ways to tithe right here.
3-way tithe.
25%.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great day, family.
Yeah.
And love you guys. And thank you all for coming on. Have a great one.
Really great to connect everybody. God bless.
Take care. Bye.